These are the stories that keep me up at night. The missing, the murdered, the mysteries that have gone unsolved in our own backyards. I've covered crime in North Texas for more than 25 years, and now I'm opening up my reporter's notebook to you, revisiting cold cases and crimes that made headlines.
Take it home! Take it home!
I remember exactly where I was. I was working in Austin, and my pager went off, and I looked down and it said, there's been a bombing at a daycare center in Oklahoma City.
Holy cow. About a third of the building has been blown away.
Horrible noise.
There was a boom, and the building shook, and the ceiling fell in, and the walls fell in, and there was nothing left.
I rushed back to the newsroom, and I started seeing the first images coming in, and the whole front part of the Alfred P. Murrah Building in Oklahoma City was gone.
It's just like an atomic bomb went off. The ceiling went in and all the windows came in. And it was a deafening roar.
My first thought was, it's April 19th, the second anniversary of the Branch Davidian siege in Waco. And I thought, it cannot be a coincidence. It has to be connected. I also covered the Branch Davidian siege outside of Waco in 1993, and federal agents, ATF agents, had gone to that compound to arrest the cult leader David Koresh, and also to seize illegal weapons that they thought were in that compound. There was a gunfight, and 4 ATF agents were killed, and then there was a 51-day standoff. And during that standoff, there was a protester who came to the compound. His name was Tim McVeigh. He was there handing out anti-government pamphlets, and me and several reporters interviewed him, never knowing that he would be the biggest domestic terrorist in our nation's history. The standoff ended with the FBI using tanks to try to force the Branch Davidians out, and that compound caught on fire. David Koresh and 75 of his followers, including children, died that day. 2 years later, McVeigh drove a Ryder truck with a 7,000-pound bomb inside to the front of the Murrah Building and detonated it. Barry Black was one of the first FBI agents on the scene.
I was about 7 miles away when the detonation occurred, and it registered 3.2 on the Richter scale, like an earthquake.
It was 9:02 a.m. The blast took 168 lives, babies, parents, and federal workers.
It will be a long time before the pain goes away.
I arrived the next day, and I looked up at the Murrah Building thinking, it looks like a war zone, and they were still pulling bodies out of the building. The investigation moved fast. Investigators quickly found pieces of that Ryder truck.
That's the rear bumper over there, what, about 3 blocks away?
The deputy wiped some grease away and revealed that confidential vehicle identification number.
Investigators quickly traced that VIN number to a truck that had been rented in Junction City, Kansas under the fake name of Robert Kling. They questioned the man who leased that truck.
He still had the paperwork.
A sketch was drawn of the suspect and another man who was with him. The FBI got 16,000 tips, but one of them cracked the case.
A man from upstate New York called, said, I recognize that guy. His name's Tim McVeigh.
He was a homegrown terrorist. The FBI ran McVeigh's name through a database and found out he had been arrested 90 minutes after the bombing, just 90 miles outside of Oklahoma City. A deputy of all things pulled him over for not having a license plate. Authorities think that he picked the Murrah Building because some of the ATF agents that were in Waco were in that building. McVeigh was sentenced to death. I covered McVeigh's execution.
Well, at 7:10 this morning, prison officials began pumping lethal drugs into Timothy McVeigh's body. 4 minutes later, at 7:14, he was pronounced dead.
April 19th is still very raw, but Oklahoma City showed the nation resilience.